Hello, everybody. This is the weekly static site editor group sync. This is an engineering focused one. As usual, I'll start off with some FYIs. So a reminder, this Friday is Family and Friends Day. I can't think of any valid reason any of you should not be taking it, so please do take it. And if you do have a valid reason not to take it, please let me know so that we can arrange an alternative day for you. And then just a reminder that Derek is out of office this week, and he'll be back next week. All right, on to highlight from last week. So Chad got the marketing site moving to the monorepo structure to pass on CI, and has identified the last kind of like validation checks to be done. So that's some good news there. And Derek made some big improvements to how the WYSIWYG editor handles non-markdown code. So that's a big step to getting us to rolling this out to the rolling it out to the full handbook and announcing it to the company. So that's great news. On the general section, so we're in last week of the milestone, and we're pretty much on track to meet our key objective of integrating with the handbook, and also to complete the first phase of the monorepo refactor. So I just wanted to give a big thanks to everybody for all the hard work over the last few months. There's a lot of work that, at the surface it might look simple, but there's a lot of work that's gone into both of these initiatives, and I just wanted to say I'm appreciative of all the effort and collaboration that's gone into making that happen. And then a quick note on our Q3 OKRs. I'm quickly just going to run through it as I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I want to quickly just cover off some thoughts around it. So this is still draft. It's subject to the development sub-departments OKRs being finalized. But you can see kind of like how they all ladder up to these. And so I've got some key results around migrating 2 HAML component instances to Pajamas. And with Enrique's help, I've managed to identify the 2 that we'll tackle, since he's had a head start on that already. We'll also move 2 page-specific CSS files out of the main CSS bundle into page-specific bundles. This is something that I've actually started on working, initially discussed with Paul Slaughter in the front-end pairing, and then also with Lucas and Sarah in another synchronous meeting. And we've got some pre-work to do to get to the point where we can move this out, but we'll be driving that forward. And this all relates to our key result of improving the performance of Gitlab, which you can see here is a big area of focus for the dev sub department. We'll also look to maintain a monthly MR rate average of 8.5 MRs per engineer over the quarter. I've adjusted this down from our previous target of 11 to 8.5, and that takes into consideration that Jacques is on paternity leave, and also that we will slow down our work on the Gitlab com repo. We will, the monorepo refactor and the work Chad's been doing has been kind of like contributing 40 to 50% of our MR total over the last 3 months. So that will definitely slow down over the next few months, and so I've made an adjustment. Just so you know that the development department has a new way of looking at the MRs per engineer. I think the target is going to be 10, which is down from I think 12 or 14 that it was previously, but that includes community contributions. This is the new target. The new MR rate that they've defined is separate from community contributions, so it's only from team members, and it's only from the development department. So it's outside. It doesn't include support. It doesn't include the other engineering departments, quality, and so on as well. So This will be a peer development one, and so it will also have a more direct correlation with our team's target. Then we will also, on expanding the capabilities of our team, I'm proposing that we all complete the diversity, inclusion, and belonging training. I recently started. Initially, it was rolled out to managers only, and I've started with the training. I actually can show you the template. I found a lot of. I haven't actually finished all of this, but I found a lot of value just in reviewing our existing pages in our handbook, and got refreshed on a lot of things that I almost forgot from onboarding, and the pages have changed so much since I joined a year ago. So it was really good going through those things. There's also this learning path that LinkedIn is providing free access to on diversity, inclusion, belonging, and I've just done the unconscious bias course so far, and it was really insightful. It is quite a big commitment. It's probably at a minimum 1.5 to 2 days of time, and so I'm going to work that into our planning and so on. But it's really worth doing, and I think it would be beneficial to everybody in the team to go through this. So those are kind of like the proposed OKRs that we have. If you have any feedback on that, feel free to leave a comment on the issue or to ping me directly. And I'm happy to take any feedback into consideration. And like I said, it's subject just to the sub-departments OKRs also being finalized. So we should have clarity on that by the end of this week. All right, back to the agenda. So next up is the static site editor. Enrique, can you give us an update on progress with integrating into the handbook?
Sure. So last week, the major highlight is the great work that they did to support ERB syntax in the static site editor. Huge kudos for that, because that was a very challenging feature due to the complexity of supporting a custom syntax on top of Markdown. So great work on that. Now, the only missing step that we have to overtake is supporting uploading images from the editor, and that's something that we are going to focus on this week. After that, it's going to be just opening the editor for everyone in the handbook.
Thank you, and that brings me to the next point that I have here, which is a recommendation now that the ERB handling code has hit production, to actually make the static site editor link available on all the handbook pages as part of a soft launch, essentially. My thinking behind it is it gives us an opportunity to get possible feedback before the group call that we're having next week, Tuesday, and making the more formal announcement to the company. And so my suggestion is that we do it now already. I've pinged Enrique and Eric on the kind of like draft MR to get their opinions on it, and ultimately it will be Eric's call. I think Enrique, you mentioned that from a technical point of view it should be okay. You do have a comment here around toggling the ERB support with a feature flag. Maybe do you want to expand on that?
Yes. So we expressed some uncertainty around enabling ERB support for everyone last week. So a way of working around that uncertainty is by flagging the ERB support in Gitlab. That way, if we find that users are running into too many issues editing ERB pages, we can just disable the feature flag. It gives us a lot of control because we don't have to publish another merge request to disable it.
So that would be a feature flag on the back end in the controller, I assume. We validate whether the file is valid to be edited by the static site editor.
That's right. If the flag is disabled, the controller in the backend will return that the file is invalid. But Vasily can confirm that.
I think that sounds like a good idea. I had that same thought when we talked about sort of deferring the decision to the last moment of whether we would have trouble getting it in.
Do we have an issue for that, or?
No, I don't think we have one yet.
This flag. Okay.
Enrique, would you mind opening an issue for that with the top level requirements as you kind of like expressed it? I'm in support of this approach because it does give us that safety net of turning off the ERB support if we do pick up any major issues without delaying by 24 to 48 hours and having lots of issues and potentially crop up. So I'd definitely be in support of this if it's relatively straightforward to implement.
Also on the soft launch, I think that's a great idea too, especially because of the stuff I posted. To try to construct a URL for this to work can be pretty tricky. It'd be nice to just be able to dog food it easier on any page I want.
Well, Chad, since you're in support, I could really help you use your help with a failing lint for specifically relating to URL structures on that merge request. So I'll take your enthusiasm as an indication of willingness to help as well.
Sure.
All right. And with that, over to you again, Chad, for a quick update on the monorepo refactor in the handbook.
Sure. So I've been trying to update my status in the channel on Slack so you can see the details there. But one of the first big chunks of work is because this is moving most of the files in the repo. It's obviously not something that you could just do once and then try to resolve with a merge conflict. So I had to write a script, which is fairly complex, which moves the stuff down that needs to be done. And then I do that over and over as I iterate on the actual configuration and find things that are wrong. And then I throw away that commit and move everything again, which actually involves moving everything down and then moving all of the existing handbook stuff back up, because that's the only way it's defined as everything else. And that went well. I got the builds working locally. I got it green on CI. I went deep into the debugger. This may be a little interesting to you, Lauren, and found out some strange things related to the monorepo config. For example, if a file is used via partial, you don't explicitly have to say, "Hey, this is a file that needs to be listed and found." It will just magically find it because it's a completely different code path and middleman. Whereas a file that's used via proxy resource or the blog plugin, you have to be explicit about all of those extra templates and make sure that they're either are referred to by an include or a files watch. So things like that. And I documented, most of it is in the doc monorepo RB file. Some of it is at the top of the monorepo YAML file that's more relevant to the actual usage of it. And so where it's at now is the only way you can know if any of this actually did everything right is to download the artifacts from the 6 jobs on the EMR and compare those against the artifacts of a master build that's against a very close commit and see what the differences are, and account for things like the EMR URL has changed. It's got the review app, and that's where I got to last week, and it looks like some of the proxy resources just aren't working as well as some other things, and all those tasks are listed in the merge request. So hopefully getting everything fixed into a degree of confidence by this week, even with a short week, if you want to be optimistic, as John always does.
I'm the optimism to your pessimism. Just on that, Lauren, I know we talked about last week about a rollout plan. I did start with an issue stub last week. I never got to finish it. I actually just sent a calendar invite to you and Chad for the three of us to quickly sync up and just discuss a kind of like a rollout plan, because we need to give people a decent amount of heads up that this is coming, and just kind of like get our ducks in a row, how we coordinate with this kind of like big change.
Awesome, thank you. Creating a communication strategy is going to be really important.
Yeah. All right. On the GitLab doc, I don't have a big update other than what I shared last week. Vasily is back from PTO, and he's got a few things on his priority list this week to focus on outside of docs, but we did catch up, Susan, around the installing a GitLab docs instance in a air-gapped or offline environment. And Vasily's next steps on there is to, based on the discussion we had with the release team, to have, well, not the release team, the distribution team, to write up just a summary of the proposed way forward with that, and then we can take it from there. So maybe by the end of the week or early next week, he'll get to that, and then we can start making progress on that. And then we do have a bunch of docs issues scheduled in our 13.4 road kind of like planning. So we will be making progress on those things soon.
Sounds good.
Cool. Eric, update on Gitter.
Update on Gitter is the data export stuff is moving along. Finished all the backend export API endpoints, and now working on the front end stuff. So creating the little modal that allows you to click off to those links and download your data. That's
Cool.
it for me.
All right. Lauren, update on the growth marketing team's endeavors.
Yeah, this week we're going to kick off our marketing site CMS proof of concept project, where we're just going to build proof of concept integrations for Contentful, Datto CMS, and Netlify CMS. And this will create sandboxes that we can allow the content contributors to log into and test what the interface looks like. We also, growth marketing has put together a marketing website refresh strategy. I think there's 6 or 7 phases to that. Some really big epic that's going to overgo all the updates we're going to be making to the website. And Michael Pruce put together Brandon Digital's foundational agenda, which goes over a lot of the infrastructure changes that we're planning to make. And I wanted to share that with this group.
Cool. Yeah, that's definitely interesting things that I will make sure to catch up on. I will offer my input if you need help with Contentful.
Yes.
In the proof of content.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have spent quite a few hours of late playing with that, and it does kind of like give you this blank space sheet to start with, and then you need to start building your data models and stuff. And you know, it takes a little bit of time to get used to it, but once it's in there, it does become quite easy and intuitive to work with. All right, Eric, just in time. We're at the product section, ready for you to take it.
Nice. Sorry, I hadn't released post shadowing this release, so I had to go on the stand up. Sorry, everybody. I was skimming the agenda, and I did want to touch on the really putting the static site editor link on all handbook pages. I think I'm all for it. The soft launch sounds good.
Cool.
let's talk more about that in Slack or in the issues.
Well,
and
to give you a quick update on that discussion, we discussed that there's no reason for us not to put that link out there, and Chad I guess volunteered by being enthusiastic about this change, that he would fix the pipeline for me and then we can merge that. And Enrique brought up the fact that one way to mitigate our concern of whether to allow ERB support or not was just to add a feature flag for the validation in the backend. And so he's going to open an issue for that, and we'll work with Vasily to see if we can get that in, because that will be our safety net to turn off that support if we need to. So and I think, yeah, then we're the other part of it is that Enrique is going to focus on finishing up the image upload feature, which is the last outstanding bit of the scope that we wanted to target for rolling out to the company. So yeah, once it seems like it's all coming together nicely, and so we're all on track for the grand launch next week.
I'm very excited. Thank you, everybody. This is great. I only had really one point, and then I'll probably elaborate more on this in the design product call, but I think we received 2 really validating bits of feedback over the past couple of days. And I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate that and to highlight those. The first came from Gitlab product manager. Actually, he's a group manager on the product team. And he posted on Slack that he found using the static site editor delightful, which is just exactly what we want to hear, right? We want to know that there are people who, and he actually is very capable of working on the command line and is familiar with Git and writing Markdown, but he found the experience to be delightful and intends to use it anyway. So I think that's exactly what we're hoping for. We're building an editor that can offer an alternate experience instead of a replacement experience, and one that is delightful to people who have technical background or not. And we're not trying to narrow our focus to build something for an audience that is has any specific technical background or understanding of Git. So yeah, I was really encouraged to see that, and I really appreciate posting that. It was on a Friday, so I figured I'd highlight it in case people missed it. And then I think more exciting is we had an issue that was opened as a sort of feature request from an external user, a member of the community, and I believe the issue was a duplicate, so I ended up canceling it, but I referenced it and I mentioned in the comment, I commented on the issue that I was going to close it, and I linked to the other one and said, my email's in my profile if you want to chat, and they did. They emailed me, and I posted in the doc. I don't want to share my screen. I didn't ask permission to publicize this person's feedback, but I will follow up with them and see if they want to have some more one-on-one chats, because it sounds like the exact use case and testimonial that we're going for. This is in this case, someone who's already a GitLab customer, and obviously because they submitted an issue, they're more engineering focused. But they want to host a static site to move off of a WordPress site that they said specifically was, what were the clunky, ugly, and old WordPress site that requires too much maintenance and updating. They want to move to a static site and have no need for a dynamically, served site. They want to host it on GitLab, but the barrier to that is collaboration among users who aren't comfortable with Markdown or Git. And they specifically called out that a side-by-side Markdown preview was not going to cut it for their collaborators, and that they were very excited about the static site editor and the future of that. So I couldn't have solicited a better testimonial for what we're thinking about right now. I think this is exactly why we're building this. There are other use cases that we're solving for and other people that will have testimonials like this, but from the standpoint of somebody who might be implementing the static site editor that's already like in the GitLab ecosystem. This is exactly what we want to see. So great work, and I was very, very happy to see that come through this weekend. And I will summarize like I have for others, for other interviews. I'll create an issue, although maybe I'll find a way to see if Dovetail would be a better place to put this so we can keep all our feedback in one place. But yeah, we'll make sure this gets captured in a way that we can refer back to it with some key quotes.
Yeah, I will mention it was quite nice to click through to that Dovetail page that Michael shared that had all the kind of like key takeouts. And it might be nice to have a similar section for kind of like feedback that we received from people, especially the unsolicited feedback. It'd be good to have a kind of like common place to have all of that. All right.
I know we're close
yeah.
to time, but I'm going to be on PTO next Monday, so I wanted to mention something, especially for Lauren. So the big comment I left about the concerns I had about the decisions we would have to make on the shared files about duplicating or copying them, because we're moving everything else, most of those decisions have been able to be deferred. But I just want to be clear that that doesn't mean they've gone away. As we continue to evolve the sites and the designs and the tools and the static site builder that we use in different directions between marketing and handbook, we're going to run into all of those decisions and have to think about them. But for now, I'm just trying to get the move done as quickly as possible. And luckily it's turning out being able to defer all of those just by saying we're sharing lots of stuff.
Awesome, thank you. And I'll get in and look at your MR today so I can see the changes.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah, and thanks for that timely reminder, Chad. I totally forgot that you're out of office next week, which makes our sync up a little later today even more important. So I'll see you two in that call. Anybody else have any parting thoughts before we close this call? No? Well, happy Monday, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.